What's going on YouTube? Flashy here and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. Today we are rounding off our Hunter Gambit Build series. I've actually had a ton of fun making these and it seems like you guys really enjoyed them too, so we'll definitely be looking to continue this series with the Titan and Warlock classes. So since I put out a build for the Arc and Solar Hunters, that means last but certainly not least, we have the Void subclass. I'm not gonna lie, this subclass was pretty tough. There's so many different ways to play Night Stalker, so the way I decided to approach this build was that since the last two videos were more focused around solo queue and pretty much ignored the fact that teammates exist, I wanted to throw something together that resembled more of a support role. First, to start off, we're going to go into the subclass and we are going to be grabbing the Vortex Grenade, Gambler's Dodge, and any jump of your choice, but I always like triple jump my Hunter. And we're going to be going with Bottom Tree for a number of different reasons. So first and foremost, we get Lockdown, which is grenade effects last twice as long. If you pair Lockdown with the Vortex Grenade, you essentially just have like this entire area just covered with void damage constantly. And for the Primevals that don't move that much and they're kind of stationary and big and bulky, this works great for them. And next we have Vanish and Smoke, which is pretty much what this whole build is about. So Vanish and Smoke is when you throw a smoke bomb from a distance, it makes you and nearby allies invisible and provides the Heart of the Pack buff. So for those of you guys that don't know, the Heart of the Pack buff grants weapon haste, increases mobility, recover, and resilience. So essentially as a support, you're giving your team everything that you would want to give them, right? They're going to be able to run around faster, their health is going to come back quicker. So this really works well with teammates that have a lot of moats and things like that you want to cover and keep them alive, and we'll get into all that. And it also keeps you alive as well. So not only is it a support role for you and your team, but you can also dish out more damage respectively because now you guys just have all of this increased mobility, weapon haste, and all that. Next, we have Combat Provision, which pairs up pretty well with everything in the build in terms of the grenade and the smoke bomb, because when you damage enemies with grenades, it grants you melee ability energy, and when you make allies invisible, you get grenade energy. So basically, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with either your smoke bomb or your grenade, you're going to be getting the other one back, which always works out. You always, in this build, you're always going to be wanting, most importantly, your smoke bomb, which you will always have, and having the grenade again, that's just a great way to dish out some more damage, especially when you get your super, which we'll get into, and I'll show you some clips and things like that. And last, the kind of biggest change to this bottom tree is that you get Mobius Quiver, which essentially gives you multiple shadow shots. So a lot of people are probably used to using top tree where you get one shadow shot and it tethers everything. In this one, you get 6 smaller ones that can be fired in rapid succession. And again, we're seeing that Heart of the Pack buff popping up here again, because when you defeat tethered enemies, you create orbs of light, of course, and it gives your nearby allies the Heart of the Pack. So you are essentially going to be a walking Heart of the Pack buff with these smoke bombs, and you're always going to have them. And one really good way of getting them back is by having the Gambler's Dodge, which is why we grabbed Gambler's Dodge, which recharges your melee ability when you dodge near enemies. So the way this combination is going to look is, let's say you don't have a smoke bomb, but you have your Gambler's Dodge and you're kind of in the middle of a bunch of enemies. You have a lot of moats you want to bank. You don't want to die. You're running low. What you'll do is you just dodge away and then immediately look at the ground and throw your Vanish and Smoke. Again, that gives you your increased mobility. So now you're running to the moat deposit faster. You're getting that recovery. So, you know, you're healing all that damage that you've been taking before you dodged and everything like that. And then, of course, your resilience is it's going to keep you alive just a little bit longer to be able to get away. So the smoke bomb and the Gambler's Dodge works out really well. Again, you got to be a walking Heart of the Pack buff. Everywhere you go, anytime you have that smoke bomb up, you either got to throw it at yourself or throw it at your teammates. What I will get into before we get into the rest of the build is that this build works a lot better, as with any support role, when you're playing with a team and you're talking to your friends in Discord or in a party or whatever. You can use it in solo queue. Again, making this video, I had a lot of success with it. It was actually a ton of fun. But sometimes you'll throw a smoke bomb at your teammate and they'll move to the left or the right a little bit and they won't get the buff and the invisibility. And it's a little frustrating, but thankfully in this build, you get your smoke bomb so much that times like that kind of go unnoticed. So that's what your subclass is going to look like. Let's get into the weapons now. So the only weapon that I would recommend, and that is kind of crucial to this build, is the Monte Carlo Exotic Auto Rifle. And for those of you guys that don't know, the exotic perk is the Monte Carlo method. Dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown and grants a chance to fully charge your melee ability with each kill. You might it doesn't really matter. You can ignore the second part where it's like you might get your melee ability back with a kill. That does come in clutch. I haven't really noticed proc too much. But what's really, really good about this is just dealing damage with this weapon reduces your melee cooldown. So that's going to reduce the cooldown even more of our smoke bomb. So remember, we're pairing that with the Gambler's Dodge where we get a free smoke bomb for dodging. And now anytime we do damage with bullets out of this gun, it's going to decrease the charge time of that smoke bomb again. And I took some time to see how much it really does decrease. And to be honest, if you just hit a full clip with the magazine 43, if you can hit a full clip into the Primeval, you'll get your smoke bomb back every time. So essentially, it's a clip and a smoke bomb against like a Primeval or any of the big targets like that where you can just hammer into them. Even the large blockers, this works really well against. And during that time, everybody's kind of just standing around the middle. So this is a great opportunity to be throwing smoke bombs at your teammates, just constantly getting them back, reloading, getting them back, maybe going up to the Primeval, dodging away, getting another smoke bomb. It's really unbelievable. You have the smoke bombs at all times, and the Heart of the Pack buff actually lasts like 15 seconds. So yes, your teammates are only invisible for 6 seconds or when they shoot a bullet, but that Heart of the Pack buff stays there for the whole 15 seconds, and it's absolutely amazing. And by the time it's gone, you can even throw another smoke bomb at your teammate and help him out. But so that's why we're going to be using the Monte Carlo. It's a great exotic that goes well with this build. In terms of the armor, you can do anything you want up until the leg armor. We're going to be going with the Orpheus rig. So if you guys remember before, we were using the bottom tree, which gives us 6 shadow shot arrows. And now what Orpheus rig is going to do is give us down here, Mobius quiver has more shots. This gives us 2 extra shots, so we get 8. And let me take you back to the subclass, where if you read Mobius quiver, shadow shot deals massive damage against tethered enemies. And by the time you fired all 6 of your arrows at the primeval or the envoys or large enemies or anything like that, everything around it and itself is going to be tethered. So you get 2 extra shot of quote unquote massive damage against tethered enemies, and it just works really, really well. So that's why we're grabbing Orpheus rig. So again, this entire build revolves around constantly throwing out smoke bombs, whether it's down at your feet or at your teammates. Just some tips on who you might want to give the Heart of the Pack buff to while you're playing, because a lot of times in Gambit there's a lot of things going on, motes flying everywhere. So some things to look out for is focus on teammates with like 10 to 15 motes, because that's a medium to large blocker right there, and you don't want that teammate to lose all those motes and then it just goes to waste. That large blocker could make or break the game. So if you see a teammate, again, the good thing about Gambit is you can see how many motes every single one of your teammates has at all times right on their health bar. So if you see anybody with like 9 to 15 or anything like that, definitely kind of make your way to them and throw that smoke bomb at them. If there's an invader present and you see one of your teammates is engaging with them or anything like that, you can always throw a smoke bomb at them. They'll get that increased health. They'll get that increased mobility to be able to kind of maybe outstrafe them, or if they need that extra resilience to survive that one extra shot, you could take out the invader, and that works out really well. I've also noticed that around wanted targets, they take a lot of damage at times, and they're just constantly dropping motes. So having your gambler's dodge and your smoke bomb ready to go when there's a wanted target on the field, that works really well too. And then once you get to the primeval stage, this is where your super comes into play. Again, with the hunters, I kind of like to use their builds more for like ad clearing and getting motes into the bank and things like that. And maybe if I'm invading, maybe I have something good for that. But when it comes to the supers, that's where I like to just hammer into the primevals, because even if you go into the final round, you have your supers, so you want to be able to max that out and deal as much damage as you can. And as you guys can see, if you can just hammer it into the primeval 8 times with the Orpheus rig, which is amazing. And it might be a little weird, you might miss some shots, and you are pretty vulnerable. As you'll see, sometimes I am dying once I'm hitting my 7th or 8th shot, but even then, by that point, you've done so much damage. And also, you can't forget that all 3 of your teammates as well are just mowing everything they can into the primeval while it's tethered. So yes, you're doing damage, but you're also tethering the primeval, and that just gives your whole teammate, again, bringing it back to the support role. Throughout the entirety of the round, you're going to be throwing smoke bombs out, getting the Heart of the Pack buff on your teammates and yourself, and then once the primeval comes around, you're opening them up for massive, massive damage from both you and your team. So that wraps up our 3rd and final Hunter Gambit build video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, there's been so much support on these videos so far, so I'm glad you guys have been enjoying them. I definitely want to continue this series, like I said at the beginning of the video, into the Titan and the Warlock classes, so definitely be on the lookout for that. And if you guys have any tips for either Hunters, Warlocks, Titans, anything like that, leave them in the comments below. I'm always reading comments, always going through the builds you guys give me, they're always awesome, so keep those up. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, let me know down below if you use this build and what you think about it. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video.